Let's be filled with gratitude as we recall God's faithfulness and reflect on all the ways He's shown His love and grace to us. I'm Bryce Johnson, and you can unpack that. For more, go to unpackingit.com.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. The Federal Reserve went bigger than the conventional wisdom expected in making its first interest rate cut in 4 years. Fed policymakers voted to cut interest rates by 0.5% instead of by 0.25% as inflation gets closer to its 2% goal. Fed policymakers say they want to maximize employment, but it wasn't really enough for Wall Street. All three averages fell about 0.25% to 0.33%. Once Fed Chair Jay Powell told reporters the Fed is not in a rush to cut rates and not to expect 0.5% rate cuts every time. The Dow fell 103, the Nasdaq 55, the S&P 16. AI will be everywhere, maybe even your phone plan. T-Mobile is teaming up with OpenAI on a new platform called IntentCX. T-Mobile says it'll have access to OpenAI's newest reasoning models, and that'll be particularly powerful in analyzing call transcripts and solving problems. The big telecoms are locked in a battle to keep customers from switching. Joan Doniger, Bloomberg Radio.
It's the Scoreboard with your host, Sports Director Joe Berg on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello, welcome back. Welcome back to the Scoreboard. Big thank you to our guests today. Coach Claire Polk, Emily James, senior captain, right hitter, outside hitter. You know, we learned a little bit today. We did. We learned about volleyball, some positional stuff, rotations and whatnot. I got to be honest, I'm still confused. I'll figure it out. One of these days I'll figure it out. But I am still confused. It's confusing, man. You ever watch volleyball? Like, when we just came off the Olympics, right? And it was fun to watch that kind of high competitiveness and high skill level go out and perform. But you go watch it and you see how fast everybody's moving and how fast things moving. And you're like, man, I have no idea what's happening. So I hope we all learned a little something today, talking to Coach Polk and Emily James, Pine Lake Varsity Volleyball coach and senior captain. Pine Lake's in action tomorrow on the road against Christ the King High School. That will start around 6:30. Now, though, we do want to turn our attention to some things going on in the sports landscape. You know, not only is it high school season, fall season, we're going to have football tomorrow. By the way, before I forget, tomorrow, talking to Statesville High School head coach. We'll get the information out there once we know who we'll be talking to with Statesville. But Statesville football is going to be joining us tomorrow on the Scoreboard, so look forward to that. Some other things, though, going on in the world of sports that you're going to want to keep an eye on. I got them right here for you, so let's go ahead, talk about some things that I think you should know about, starting with Major League Baseball. Okay, we are now 11 days away from the end of the regular season, and the chase for 50-50 is heating up for Shohei Ohtani. He hit his 48th home run of the season yesterday. He now has 48 home runs, 48 stolen bases, getting closer to the 50-50 season. 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases. Nobody in the history of baseball has pulled off a feat like that. It's going to be something to keep an eye on for sure. Not only that, though, we do have playoff races going on. And the race for the playoffs, I have something in my mouth here, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching the video stream, WSIC News, Facebook, YouTube, X, got like something stuck on my tongue here. I can't get it off. So if you're wondering why I'm doing that, I got something on my tongue. We're going to talk about some of the playoff races. Things are getting heated up here. The Yankees and the Orioles, the AL East has kind of slipped away from the Orioles over the past few days here. They have gone cold. Not so cold to where I think they're going to miss the playoffs, but the race is heating up. The Guardians are still leading the AL Central by 5 games, and the Mariners still trail the Astros. That deficit is now 5 games. In the National League, the Phillies hold an 8-game lead over the Mets. The Brewers have pretty much locked up the NL Central. And the Dodgers, only a 3.5-game lead over the San Diego Padres. Now, it is crunch time in Major League Baseball now. That's what I would call it, crunch time, especially when you look at the wild card races. You have the Detroit Tigers, 1.5 games still behind the Twins. Tigers on a nice 3-game winning streak. Both of those teams are going to be in action tonight. Actually, as a matter of fact, I believe there's only going to be 2 teams not in action today, that being the Athletics, and I believe the other team was the Cubs, but I will double check on that for you. But for the most part, we have a lot of baseball tonight. Chance to close the deficit in these playoff races. Now, the wild card chase, the wild card race, the Braves don't play the Mets. They play Cincinnati. And the Mets play Washington. Those are 2 teams that are a little bit worse than the Mets and the Braves, respectively, there in the National League. Maybe a chance to extend a lead or close a lead. We'll see. In the American League, the Tigers is going to be a team to watch. They play a really good baseball team tonight. They're playing the Kansas City Royals, and we've talked about the Royals, man. They are the maybe not biggest surprise of the year. I'd say that they are a big surprise, but definitely they are one of the most interesting stories of the year. You have Bobby Witt Jr. having an incredible year, where if Aaron Judge wasn't doing what he's doing, Bobby Witt would be the runaway MVP. But because of Aaron Judge and the way he's been playing this year, the 53 home runs, the batting average where it is, his OPS, his RBI numbers, the walk numbers, all of that combined, it's Aaron Judge's MVP to lose, but Bobby Witt's having some year for the Royals, so that team is no slouch. And then the Twins are playing the Guardians, the number 2 team in the American League. So that race between the Twins and the Tigers for the final wild card spot, man, it's going to get hot. And as we get to the end of the season here, things are just going to get more and more interesting. I don't expect for anything to be settled until the last 2 days of the season. Maybe not coming down to the very last day of the regular season. Maybe we'll have everything decided a day or 2 beforehand, but it's still anyone's race. And when you look at the records this year, the Phillies have the best chance to win 100 games, 91-60. They are the only team, really. Well, I'm sorry, there is one other team that can win 100 games. It would be the Dodgers, but the Dodgers would have to win out as they have 62 losses this year already. That would put their record, if they win out, at 100 wins and 62 losses. Well, the Phillies, if they win out, they can win 102 this year. I don't think they're going to win out, but I do think there's a chance that the Phillies do hit that 100-win plateau. We talked about it earlier in the year where everybody was on pace for like 93 wins, and it was, man, everything's so mediocre in baseball this year, it feels. Well, the cream is starting to rise. I would have expected the Dodgers to rise a little bit faster than they have, just because of the team that they've put together over there. But definitely something to keep an eye on as we get to the end of the year is who is hot. You're not going to want to worry about regular season records this year when we go into the playoffs. It's going to be who is going into the playoffs playing the best baseball. Right now, it's definitely not the Orioles. They've lost 7 of 10 now. Maybe it's the Yankees, who are the complete opposite, winning 7 of 10. But if the Detroit Tigers find a way to get into the playoffs this year, man, don't count them out. Do not count them out. That is a good baseball team, and they are on fire, winning 3 in a row in 8 of their last 10. National League MVP, we talked a little American League MVP. It's no question. It's going to be Shohei Ohtani. I need everybody to just understand that you are living in the Shohei Ohtani era. Okay? You're going to hear about it a lot. Kind of like when you lived in the Michael Jordan era, or I'd assume it was kind of like that. I didn't live through that era. But it is the Shohei Ohtani era. And if he can get the Dodgers into the playoffs, which he will, and if he can continue to play the way he's been playing this year, things are going to be looking up for the Dodgers when we get into the playoffs, man. They're getting players back off the injured list. It's going to be a good playoff this year in baseball. We got one more segment to go here on the scoreboard. Hang with me. We're not going anywhere. We got to wrap things up, talk about some things that happened on this day in sports history, get you prepared for the night ahead. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We're back after this.
This guy knows his sports, right? There's more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the way on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, mostly cloudy as we work our way through the rest of our Wednesday evening. A shower or thunderstorm can't be totally ruled out. Otherwise, we should stay mostly quiet. Cloudy in the overnight hours. Temperatures dip back down into the mid-60s for our Thursday. A mix of clouds and sun. And we'll still have the low chance of an isolated shower or thunderstorm. High temperatures in the low 80s. By Friday into the weekend, we're dry and comfy. Low 80s for Friday and Saturday. The first day of fall coming up on Sunday. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. This Friday night, the monthly car show Hot Rods and Hops returns to RevFast. The late Apex Storage Condos on Cayuga Drive in Mooresville welcomes the slickest and fastest cars, motorcycles, trucks, racing, and high-performance machines. Food trucks will be on hand for delicious dinners, and Hoptown Brewing will be serving up cold beer. Get your weekend started off right with Hot Rods and Hops this Friday night at 6 p.m. at the late Apex Storage Condos in Mooresville. Brookdale Village's Live Under the Oaks concert series is also happening on Friday night. Ryan Winters will be playing on the Brookdale stage in Huntersville beginning at 6 p.m. Food and beverages will be for sale at the many restaurants around the village. Grab your chairs and your friends for the Ryan Winters concert Friday night at Brookdale Village in Huntersville. Movie in the Park is happening September 20th in downtown Huntersville. The show at Veterans Park on Main Street and Maxwell Street is open to the public free of charge. Bring your blankets and lawn chairs for an evening under the stars with the showing of Space Jam on a big screen. Movie in the Park begins at 7:30 p.m. at Veterans Park in Huntersville on Friday. The NHRA returns to ZMAX Dragway this weekend for the Carolina Nationals. When the temperatures cool down, the excitement heats up at the Bellagio of drag strips. Every ticket is a pit pass, giving fans unmatched access to the drivers and crews who power the NHRA's thunderous 11,000 horsepower machines to their limits. Visit CharlotteMotorspeedway.com for information, tickets, and details.
The Renaissance Festival is back Saturdays and Sundays, October 5th through November 24th. A non-stop outdoor family adventure. Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com while supplies last.
To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Increase your peace of mind and keep your family comfortable with propane tank monitoring from G&B Energy and Tank Utility. With this app, you can avoid running out of gas while you're grilling, receive alerts when your tank is low, and monitor your tank while you're away. Get peace of mind with G&B Energy's tank monitoring app today. Visit gbenergy.com or drop by 128 Intercraft Drive, Statesville. G&B Energy.
It's the Scoreboard with your host, Sports Director Joe Berg on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, final segment here on the Scoreboard. 844-STUDIO-4 is the phone number. If you have something on your mind that you'd like to chat about, I'm here for the next, 10 minutes. 844-STUDIO-4 is the phone number if you want to be a part of the program. We were talking a little baseball before we hopped onto the commercial break there. Man, is it going to be a crazy race for the playoffs here. 2 games already in action. The Diamondbacks and the Rockies in the bottom of the 9th, and the White Sox might win another baseball game. They're playing the Angels. It's 1-0. What else are you going to expect when you see the White Sox playing the Angels, huh? 1-0 baseball game. That's what I expect. And if you expect anything differently, well, I don't know what to tell you. I could have told you that this was going to happen. Anyway, 844-STUDIO-4, like I said, is the phone number if you have something on your mind that you would like to talk about. We are going to get into some news going on, starting with NASCAR. Bubba Wallace in the news today. Why, you might ask? Well, it's because Bubba Wallace has now signed a multi-year extension with 23XI Racing, 2311 as we call them. I think this is a good move for 2311. I know Bubba didn't make the playoffs this year, but he did have a decent season. I feel like there were a lot of races where I saw him running up front and competing. And remember, if we just go off points alone, not a winning in format, Bubba Wallace would have made these playoffs. Now, that's not saying that he's one of the best drivers out there. It just means I do think that he is a playoff driver, but the wild card is if you win, you're in. So the 2-time winner has signed a multi-year extension. We do not get terms, really, with NASCAR. You know, most other sports you get, this guy signed a 5-year, $200 million contract. You don't really get that in NASCAR. They just say that they signed someone. It's real interesting. Anyway, that is something to keep an eye on in the NASCAR world. Bubba Wallace staying in the 23 car with 2311 Racing. Also, in case you were unaware, I'm going to make you aware. Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be racing this Friday night in the Xfinity race at Bristol. Yes, you heard it correctly. Dale Earnhardt Jr., the man himself, going to be racing at Bristol Friday night. And if you listen to his podcast at all, you might know that there's a good chance this is going to be his final race of his career in NASCAR. There's something to keep an eye on as we head into the weekend with NASCAR right around the corner. The Brewers, by the way, they did officially clinch the NL Central. Remember, we've been talking about that race there. It is not close. It's over 10 games, and nobody is going to be able to catch them. So it is their 3rd NL Central title in 4 years. Maybe you saw this also. Adrian Wojnarowski. I know I said that wrong. Wojnarowski has retired from ESPN. NBA reporter. If you ever heard of a Woj bomb is when Adrian Wojnarowski would tweet a big deal that just broke. Well, he is no longer going to be with ESPN. He actually is going to State Bonaventure to be the general manager of the men's basketball program there. State Bonaventure, they're a basketball team. This is about what we can say about them, right? They didn't have a great year last year. 20-13, 9-9 in conference. Maybe Adrian knows what he's doing behind the scenes of an actual program rather than just reporting on it. We'll see. But that's something that broke today. If you're a fan of Woj, he was a good insider, man. He broke a lot of news. You know, there's still fallout today. There's still fallout from the Panthers benching Bryce Young. Reports of him being very unhappy are now coming out. I mean, I could have told you he was going to be unhappy, but it's not good. I think it's officially time to open the conversation of, has Bryce Young already played his final game in a Panthers uniform? Is this relationship fixable? Or did David Tepper already say, you know what, I'm done with him. I wanted us to pick him. It's not working out. Get him out of here. What's the plan? What is the plan for those Carolina Panthers? That's the fallout. The fallout from the benching of Bryce Young is, what's next? Like, let's fast forward. We're not going to make the playoffs. Probably going to have a top 5 pick. What happens in April when we get to the draft? Then what? Are you going to take another quarterback? You don't know, right? I don't know either. I don't know what the Panthers' plan is. I wish I did, but I just don't. We're getting close to the end of the program here. Something that we like to do as we approach the end of the program is talk about things that happened on this day in sports history. We didn't have too much time for it yesterday. I had a lot that I wanted to get out there and get on my mind, but I do want to give a little extra time to it today. So some things that happened on this day in sports history. In 1996, Roger Clemens tied his own major league record with a 20 strikeout performance. That was on this day, 1996. 1994, Ken Burns documentary, his miniseries Baseball, premiered on PBS. I don't know if anybody watched that. I've seen clips of it, the Ken Burns documentary. It won an Emmy for Outstanding Informational Series. That was on this day, 1994. Also on this day, remember back in 1991, I don't remember, but the NCAA placed Tennessee on a 2-year probation for recruiting violations in football. And now Tennessee is upping their ticket prices 10% for a talent fee. Okay, go on a rant here. Talent fee being a part of your ticket price? So does that mean that if the talent that is out there does not perform, you get your money back? Why does the consumer have to fit the bill so that the school can pay the players? Last time I checked, football programs make a lot of money. A lot of money. Last time I checked, universities make a lot of money. But no, you got to put it on the consumer and say, hey, you're paying their salary. I get it with football, man. I get it. TV contracts, ticket prices, concessions, that all pays the players. But like a school? No. That's not revenue sharing. Revenue sharing is, here's what we earned. We're going to give some of these earnings to the players. Not this 10% ticket price increase is going directly to the players. That's not it. Rant over. On this day in 1993, the Mighty Ducks played their first NHL preseason game against the Penguins. Also, in the world of hockey, preseason starts this weekend. Yeah, preseason hockey this weekend. It's here. I'm excited. I don't know about you. Tim Raines is the first player with 4 consecutive 70 stolen base seasons. That was on this day, 1984. You're never going to see that happen again. And 1966, Johnny Unitas throws 4 touchdown passes in a 38-23 win at Minnesota to surpass Y.A. Tittle as NFL's career leader with 212 touchdown passes. He ended up finishing his career with 290, by the way. So 212 took 212. I think Mahomes has already got double that, right? Probably. Thanks for tuning into the Scoreboard today, everybody. It was nice rocking out with you. I will be here same time, same place tomorrow. We'll sit down in the first part of the show with Statesville High School football, and then we'll get into some things happening on the sports world. Keep in mind, later tonight, 7:30, WSIC will be carrying Charlotte FC Soccer. You're not going to want to miss it as Charlotte FC makes a push for the playoffs. Thanks for everybody tuning in today. I'll talk to you tomorrow, same time, same place. Until then, have a great night.
Serving you better than ever before. 105.9 100.